Hello everybody. How are we doing tonight? I think chat may be empty right now. Oh well. Such is how these Fate streams tend to go. So, as you can see from the title, we are going on a date with Saber tonight. Wow, I sure hope nothing bad happens during this date. I sure hope nothing bad happens. Hello, Wind. Welcome. How are you doing? So, let's get started on this date with Saber where nothing bad is going to happen at all. I promise. Also, reminder, this date is canonically happening on Valentine's Day. They don't mention it, if I remember correctly, but it is in fact happening on Valentine's Day. So, before I realize it, it's morning already. You don't trust me? Why not? I promise nothing bad is gonna happen. I stopped the alarm clock with a sigh. Today is my date with Saber, no matter what she says. I'm going to go take her places she hasn't been and play around, and the most important thing is for her to enjoy herself. I was trying to use the knowledge I don't have to come up with a plan for the day, but the alarm clock went off before I noticed the time. I set the alarm clock just in case. I couldn't come up with any good plans last night, so I borrowed it from Tosaka, thinking I might take a long time to come up with a plan. It was useless in the end. I sigh again. That's the problem. Even more shocking than the fact that I couldn't get any sleep is the fact that I couldn't come up with any plan that might make a girl happy, even though I thought about it all night. Yeah, good luck with that, Shiro. If we go to cute-looking stores, she's bound to have fun. Well, I think the plan has some weak points. Shiro, the plan is entirely weak points. But I've made up my mind, so that's what I'm going to do. It's not like I have any other ideas, so I'm going to entertain her today until she gives up.
では、イリアスフィールはまだ目を覚ましていないのですか? ええ、まだ眠ったままよ。あの様子なら目を覚ますのにもうしばらくかかりそうだけど、今日はそれが幸いしたわね。イリア、起きてればシローの後について回って邪魔してただろうし。そうですね。今までのようにシローに同行されてはたまらない。昨夜はああなってしまいましたが、今日からは本気で残るマスターを探すのです。シローにはイリアスフィールに構っている余裕はありません。ああ、そっちの邪魔じゃないんだけど、まあいいか。私が言っても仕方ないし、これはシローとセーバーの問題だし。
Ah, Rin, the red devil of Homurahara. Tosaka tries to hide her laughter.
私とシローの問題ですか?
Saber's expression questions me. We're done eating breakfast, so this is a good time. Saber is ready to go and search for masters, but I have willpower as well. I just need to come out with it like a man.
そのことだけどな、セイバー。今日は隣町に出るから、支度があるなら今のうちに済ませておいてくれ。
マスター探しですか? それでしたら隣町ではなく郊外の方が確実だと思いますが。
そんなんじゃない。二人で遊びに行くんだから郊外になんて言っても仕方がないだろう。
は?
Saber freezes. I'll really have to get back at the person behind her who's trying not to laugh. Yeah, 'cause you're being stupid right now, Shiro. This is not how you ask somebody out on a date.
シロー、 それはどういう意味でしょうか。遊びに行くとはシロとリンではなく、
俺が行くんだから、ついてくるのはセイバー以外いないだろう。登坂はうちでイリアの面倒を見てもらうから関係ない。
何をバカな。私とシロが隣町を探索したところで成果は薄い。そのようなことをしても意味がない。一体何をしようというのですか、あなたは。
Saber complains directly. This is what I expected, but the future looks troublesome as she still thinks we're going to town to look for the master, even after I told her clearly.
参った。ここまで行ってもわからないんだな、セイバーは。要するに、俺はデートしようって言ってるんだけど、どうかな。
I ask, ignoring Tosaka's stare. I don't know how much she understands.
そのような言い方ではわかりません。具体的な内容を提示してくれませんか、シロ。
She asks, even less happily. That flips a switch within me. It seems like caring for her has the opposite effect when it comes to things like this. It seems it would be to both our benefits to state it clearly.
シロ、街に出るというのなら従いますが、デートをしようとはどういうことなのか説明してください。いくらこの時代に慣れていると言っても、私にも知らない単語はあります。あまり専門的な略語は使わないでほしい。
別に専門的な単語じゃないぞ。知らないなら教えてやるけど、デートってのは女の子と遊びに行くって意味だ。
は？
Saber freezes.
女の子とは私のことを言っているのでしょうか。
She murmurs, still astonished. When I nod, Saber frowns even more unhappily.
言葉の意味は分かりましたが、意図が全く分かりません。そんなことをする理由は何ですか？
Her reaction is unexpected. The intention of a date is obvious, but I'm a bit hesitant to tell Saber straight on.
ああ、もうそんならしくない単語を使うから勘違いさせるのよ。デートなんて言わずに、もっと分かりやすい言葉で説明すればいいのに。
Tosaka interrupts as if unable to ignore us.
いい？セイバー。デートってのはね、要するに合いびきのことなの。シロは遊びに行くって言うけど、つまるところ男の子が好きな女の子にアピールするチャンスってわけ。
I cough. Tosaka's right, but I think a date and a rendezvous are vastly different. But I shouldn't interrupt. It seems Saber finally understands what a date is.
そういうことだ、セイバー。今日一日は戦わないで街に行く。そもそも昼間は人目につくから戦えないだろう。ならどう過ごしてもいいはずだ。
それはそうですが、しかしあまりに意味がありません。そのようなことをしてもシロには何ら得るものがないのではありませんか。
そんなことはないけど、別にそうでも構わないぞ。今日はセイバーのために使うって決めたんだから、俺のことは気にするな。とにかく今日は絶対に街に行く。こればっかりは何を言われても変えないからな、セイバー。
I stare straight on at Saber. After thinking about it with a serious face for a while.
では、私が反対した場合でも、シロは一人で街に出ると。
ああ、絶対に行く。そうでなきゃ一晩考え抜いたのがバカみたいだ。
それでは私が付き添わないわけにはいきません。サーバントとしてマスターを一人にすることはできないのですから。
With a deep sigh, Saber answers in her usual manner. I get really angry about her following me because she's my servant. But I managed to succeed in getting Saber out. So I just have to take Saber to places without thinking too much about it.
いってらっしゃい。お土産よろしくね。
I gesture to Tosaka to go to hell as she makes fun of me right to the end, and we go outside.
それで具体的にはこれからどうするのですか、シロ。
どうするって、とりあえず隣町に出る。交差点からバスが出てるからそれに乗っていこう。
The road is awfully quiet. It's past 9 on a weekday. The town is starting to come alive, but it must be a bit too early for people to start going anywhere. There's no one out on the road, and it's like we have the place to ourselves.
そういえば学校休むのに抵抗がなくなってるな。ここのところずっと家にこもってたし。
当然でしょう。シロはマスターなのですから、おいそれと出歩く方がおかしいのです。
She replies sharply. She's walking behind me as usual, but it feels different today. To put it nicely, I feel pressure from behind me. Yeah, she's mad. Anyways, Saber is going to be harder to handle today. We get on the bus. It would have been full of people an hour ago, but there aren't many people using it at this time. The only people on the bus are an old lady and a kid, so it's like we have this place to ourselves.
Saber, 一番後ろに座ろう。
I call out to Saber, about to sit right at the front, and sit at the back end of the bus. Saber watches the passing scenery silently. Looking at her, I realize how crazy I'm being right now. The bus to the neighboring town is ordinary for me. But in this ordinary thing, there is something extraordinary. Well, in short, to be honest, my mind starts to twist like a Rubik's Cube, realizing we're about to go on a date. You were thinking about this all night, Shiro. Oh. Crap, I'm getting really nervous. I take a deep breath, trying not to let Saber notice. And I know I shouldn't, but I sneak one more glance at Saber. My heart jumps. The Saber sitting next to me is a Saber I don't know. No, Saber herself is the same. All that's changed is the place. But still, just that makes me realize she is different. Something I didn't notice back at my place. This ordinary scene seems like a different world just because it has Saber in it. Her hair is like golden silk, and her green eyes are so beautiful that their mere presence is overwhelming. There wasn't much to compare her against up to now, so I forgot about it. I remember the time I first met Saber. I was probably avoiding her because I was embarrassed about being fascinated by her. No matter what Saber says, she is a girl before she is a swordsman for me. This art is gorgeous. It is! I didn't know how to approach her and didn't realize my feelings for her. Takeuchi art, my beloved. It's stupid even for me. I was finally able to believe in Saber with everything I have, and then I decided to go on a date with her. Just those two were in the wrong order, and I finally realized when our day is about to begin just how big a deal it is to go on a date with a girl you like. But that's fine. I can only do my best, so I can't back out now. Gotta keep at it and you'll get there one day, Wind. Mad respect to people who do backgrounds for real. I calm myself and shake off my weak spirits. The bus has crossed the bridge and it's going into the developing area where the buildings are. I breathe out and prepare myself. The announcer I'm so used to hearing announces the next stop, Shinto Station. It's still 9 in the morning, but the area in front of the station is crowded. Most shops are open at 10, but cafes and bookstores are already open. There are already many more people than there were at Miyama City, and this place is as crowded as it is on weekends. Getting off the bus, Saber looks around unhappily. It's only natural. Saber was against this date, and people passing by are looking at her curiously. She must not feel too good about that.
まずったな。考えてみれば、朝からセイバーを連れてくれば当然こうなる。
But that's going to follow us around for the whole day. If there's a way to calm it down, it's to make Saber have so much fun that she forgets about the people staring at her.
よし。
I pound a fist and turn to Saber.
セイバー、初めに聞いておくけど、どこか行ってみたいところはあるか？せっかく来たんだから、今日ぐらいは好きなことをしてもいいだろう。
さあ、別にこれといって興味のある場所はありませんから。そもそも私にそのような選択をする知識はありません。
本当か？そりゃ参ったな。じゃあ本当にここからは出たとこ勝負なわけか。セイバーに行きたいところがなくて、こっちもどこに行っていいかわからないんじゃん。前途多難だ。
Shiro, this is why communicating and planning in advance would have been a good idea?
まさかとは思うのですが、何の計画も立てていないのですか、シロ？
いや、少しはあるけど、中身はガラガラ。とりあえず、手当たり次第に店をはしごしよう。
Hello, Hannah Stein. Welcome, welcome. Well, that's still difficult. I know places where I won't get bored, but I can't even imagine where a girl would be happy to go to. Jeez, if it's going to end up like this, I wish I'd gone out with a girl just once. Shiro, my advice? Stop thinking of her as a girl, and just try to think of what Saber specifically would like.
まったく反論するわけではありませんが、シロはどうかしています。休憩を取ろうという考えはまだいい。ですが、その休憩すら明確な予定を立てていないとは何事ですか？
She really just said there is something wrong with you to his face. Oh, Saber enters her scolding mode. This is the first time she started to complain about something outside of the dojo. I knew she was irritated not being up for this and being looked at by curious eyes, but I didn't think she was this irritated.
かねてからあなたの見積もりの甘さには一言したかったのです。あなたは周りのことは目に入ってるくせに、どうも自身に対する扱いが存在です。結果、齟齬を埋めるためにあなた自身が対価を払わなくてはならなくなる。と聞いているのですか、シロ？
聞いてるよ。要するに、今こうしているのが納得いかないんだろ、セイバ
ー。That's not what she said.
まあ、俺に連れ回されてもつまらないのは目に見えてるし、嫌がるのは当然だろうけど。
いえ、そういうことではなく、私は今はこのようなことをしている場合ではないと。
それも分かってる。けど聞かない。俺は今日一日セイバーに付き合ってもらうって決めたんだ。こればっかりはなんて言われようと曲げない。絶対だ。
Oops. I look at Saber. Saber just looks back at me in shock.
ただ言いたいことがあるなら聞く。文句もあるだろうし、そういうのは今のうちに言っておいてくれ。その方がお互い気兼ねしなくて済む。セイバーが俺とデートするのが嫌だって言うんなら、別の方法だって考える。
あ、いえ、何もそこまでする必要はないと言いますか。私はその。
Saber averts her gaze and runs out of words.
なら文句はないんだな。じゃあ行くぞ。セイバーにリクエストがないんだから、どこ行ったって怒るなよ。
I'm considering an ordinary place like an aquarium. Ooh, aquarium sounds fun. I decide and grab Saber's hand.
シロ、文句はありませんが、何も手をつかむ必要はないのではありませんか？
いや、時間ももったいないし、少し走るからな。案内するから、はぐれないようについてこい。
いえ、こんな状態では、
I start to run without waiting for Saber's reply. She looks so cute with that sprite. She does! Since I've talked big to Saber, I can't act miserable now. I just have to take her to every possible place I can think of. I run, holding Saber's hand. She must have accepted it as Saber finally stops complaining and follows me quietly. Well, it's before 10 o'clock. I'll make the 2 hours before lunchtime worthwhile and surprise her. To summarize, the 2 hours went by like a storm. We went to a boutique I usually don't go to, and we played bowling while I taught her the rules. I couldn't find an aquarium, but we fed some birds in a park. We also went to an antique store, and I still think it was best not to go to that movie theater. Anyways, I kept taking her to places a girl might like for the past 2 hours, and there were many results. Honorable defeats and total defeats. But I don't think this is what people would call a date. This is more like a contest, a fight to the death where the first one to give up loses. Saber is the same as usual no matter where I take her, and she sometimes goes so quiet that I seriously start wondering if she's really mad. She gives no reaction, so I became desperate to make her happy at the next place I take her to. Why do we have hands? Pat the Saber, cherish the Saber, forfeit all food to the Saber. As a result, I became obstinate about making Saber smile and ran around different places all morning. But it's already noon without much success. So, as Saber reminded me it's time for lunch, I decided to take a short break, but... I complain once we're seated at a table.
昼食なら川沿いの喫茶店がおすすめよ。
That was the only advice Tosaka gave me last night. I trusted her and chose this place, but I never thought it would be so fastidious. I look at the menu. Fortunately, the menu has a version in Japanese as well, so I have no problems reading it. But the trouble is, I can't understand what kind of food it is from the name, and the prices are outrageous. See, that was your second mistake. Your first mistake was everything with this date, but the second mistake was trusting Rin. I groan, looking at the menu.
シロ、ここには昼食をとるために立ち寄ったのではないのですか？
I hear a rather frail voice from the other side of the table.
そうなんだが、いかんせん勝手が違うというか。
I raise my head. And then... there is Saber, with an expression like a cornered rabbit.
Saber?
落ち着かないのなら、今だけでも屋敷に戻りましょう。シロが用意してくれるものの方が、私は好みです。
Aww.
ね、それは家に帰りたいってことか？
いえ、屋敷に帰りたいわけではなくですね。今日はひどく緊張したので、普段より疲れてしまったのです。
本当か。そっか。ここで飯にして一息ついたらまた街を出歩こうと思ったんだけど、セイバーが疲れたんならしばらくここで休憩しようか。
まさかそのようなことはありません。疲れたというのは語弊がありました。正しくはですね。
Saber stops. The small gurgling sound was fortunately small enough that only I could hear. Oh, if she was hungry, she could have just told me.
申し訳ありません。つまり、昼食は早めにしてもらえると助かるということです。
了解。そうだな。面白みがないけど無難なところを頼んでみて、さっさと飯にありつこうか。
It's simple if all we want are light snacks. I order 2 things from the lunch menu and decide to eat quickly. I consider what to do in the afternoon while drinking the after-meal coffee. What I learned this morning is that anything physical is not good. Saber gets serious when it comes to contests. That's good for me, but it makes Saber stand out even more. After we finished a game, Saber got angry because she caught all the attention she wanted to avoid.
そんなわけで体を動かすのは避けると。なあ、セイバー。2度目になるけど、どこか行きたいところってあるか？
私にですか？いえ、特にはありません。私ではわかりませんから、このままシロにお任せします。
Saying so, Saber lifts her teacup. Saber ordered English tea, and it seems she really likes the taste. We don't have much English tea at my place, and even if we did, it's all instant tea bags. It seems Saber was a bit dissatisfied with the drinks at my house, as she seems to like English tea. I should put that into consideration starting tonight. Saber is sitting there and drinking tea. She doesn't seem happy or bored. If I had to use one word to describe her, it would be that she looks natural. She drinks her tea, sitting up straight in the shadows of the streaming sunlight. Even though this is the first time I've seen such a thing, it doesn't seem strange. It feels like I've seen such a scene before. Why do I feel that? The Saber I know is a tense girl who's always holding a sword and fighting.
Ah, so ka.
But it's only natural. I also know her attitude after she lets go of her sword. Once she stops fighting, Saber has always been calm and gentle. This scene looks natural rather than new because this is her true nature. No matter how superior she is as a swordsman, it is natural for Saber to be like this. Rather, it's abnormal for her to hold a sword at all. I once thought in my dream that she wasn't suited for fighting. I don't think I'm wrong. No matter how superior her technique, or no matter how many battles she's experienced, as long as she is who she is, it can't have been a comfortable place to be. So this is natural. Saber is resting, not holding a sword. This calm scene is the way she should be. We do the same thing in the afternoon. I go to every place I can think of, and Saber follows me silently. But it's not as painful as it was in the morning. I don't know if it's because I'm getting used to it, or whether Saber is complying. Saber still isn't talkative, but if I look closely, her expression isn't like it is when she's mad. There's a feeling of accomplishment and happiness when I see Saber leave a shop with light steps. So, considering many factors that might make Saber happy from many angles. Ah yes, the toy store! I'm a bit dubious, but I've determined that this shop will be the best suited for Saber. Saber stands there dumbfounded. I don't know if her shoulders are shaking because she's angry or because she's deeply moved.
Shiro, ここは
街で一番品揃えのいいぬいぐるみ屋だってさ。男子禁制らしいんで立ち寄ったことはなかったけど。
Of course, there's actually not a rule like that. But since there are only women and no men, it's like an unwritten rule. To prove it, there are only girls in here. The golden-haired Saber is being stared at, but being a guy, I'm being glared at. I'm sure they want to tell me not to come into their sanctuary. I feel the same way. I would not approve of men entering this place.
ま、せっかく来たんだから周りは気にせず見て回ろう。そういえば好きな動物っているか？
主に獅子やヒョウなどは愛らしいと思っているのですが。 おかしいでしょうか。
She asks me with upturned eyes. I look away instantly and contain my laughter. The funny thing is, Saber is strange for thinking she's strange for thinking lions are cute.
シロ、今の行為は不自然です。何か言われのない怒りを覚えるのですが、私の気のせいでしょうか。
いや、悪い悪い。ライオンってのがあんまりにもセイバーらしかったんで、つい笑っちまった。
人の趣味を笑うのは良くないことです、シロ。それにライオンも悪くありません。
だからすまなかったって。お詫びにいいとこに連れてくから、それで機嫌を直してくれ。
I go into the store while trying to hold my laughter. Well, it looks like the stuffed animals are that way. So, it's taken about an hour to go around the store. I looked at Saber staring at stuffed animals and felt really nervous with all the girls there. Anyways, it was the most tiring hour so far. But the worst part is, we've only looked through half the store. How big is this store? It took us this long to look at just half of it because Saber was frequently paralyzed. I mean, Saber kept staring down stuffed animals. It looks like Saber is interested in the other half too, so I'll have to accompany her.
シロ、どうしたのです、ため息をついて。
ああ、ちょっと疲れた。こんな程度で音を上げるほどやわじゃないんだけどな。ここは特別だ。Yep.
Oops. I let out a big sigh. I don't mind being looked at by other people while walking with Saber, but a girls only place like this is really uncomfortable. Boredom sometimes tires one's body.
そういうセイバーは大丈夫か？こういう店初めてだろ？疲れたんなら言ってくれ。
確かに私も落ち着きませんが、シロの方が居心地が悪そうです。ここだけではなく、先ほどの店もその前の店でもそうでした。まさかとは思うのですが、シロは自分で行きたくない場所を選んでいるのではないですか？
For me, Saber's words are enough to cast away my worries.
そうだな。正直に言えば、あえて苦手なところを選んでるけど。
やはりどうかしています、シロ。慣れないと分かっていて、なぜこのような場所ばかり選ぶのです。それではあなたが。
いや、だって女の子にはこういう場所のが似合うだろう。遊びに行こうって連れ出したのは俺なんだから。今日はセイバーの日なわけだし。それにそう居心地悪くないぞ。セイバーがいるから大丈夫。隣にこれだけ美人がいるんだから、妬まれることはあれ、場違いだって思われることもないし。
何をバカな。武装していなくても私はサーバントです。いかに非戦闘時だからといって私を女性扱いする必要はありません。普段通りサーバントとして扱ってください。
Saber.
バカはそっちだ。普段通りも何も、セイバーは初めっから女の子じゃないか。別に今日だけ気を使ってるわけじゃないし、今日の俺っていつもと違うか。
In astonishment, Saber opens her mouth as if she's just realized that.
いえ、同じです。あなたはいつも通りのシローでした。
だろ？だから俺に気を使う必要なんてないぞ。ほら、それじゃ行こう。一番気に入ったものを買うんだから、あと半分も見ないとダメだろ。
I take Saber's hand. Saber silently follows me.
そうでした。初めからそうだったのに、今になって気が。
I keep cutting people off. I'm sorry. She murmurs to herself. The unusual day goes by quickly. Saber never laughed, nor could I laugh from my heart. It's not like there was any memorable moments, nor were it so boring that I regret doing it. To be frank, this was nothing. Saber might have been happier if we'd stayed at the mansion and trained together. But today wasn't bad. It wasn't fun or boring, but I can be proud of it in the end. After the battle is over and everything goes back to normal, it would be too sad if all the time Saber and I had was spent fighting. Even if it's something stupid, she has to spend some time not fighting, or there's no point in her being here. So I can be proud of myself for now. The end is near. When everything comes to an end, and when there's no more need to fight, if Saber will remember this moment and remember that this happened, that alone is enough for me to be proud of. We go home on foot. Because Saber said,
帰りは歩いて行きましょう。
just as I decided to go home by bus. There's some wind now. The vivid setting sun is lighting the bridge red. Saber notices something and stops. She is watching a mountain of rubble. It's not that tall, even though it's a mountain of rubble. Steel frames and the likes are piled right up to the water's surface and are slightly distorting the flow of the river. I don't know why, but it seems like a ship sank or something, and pieces of it flowed into a mountain. I heard the local residents have been demanding its removal for a long time, since it damages the beautiful sight.
なんだよ、セイバー。あれが気になったのか？
いえ、まだ残っていたのかと。あれの原因は私ですから。前回の戦いで水上戦を余儀なくされ、ここで宝具を使ってしまった。
Ah, yes, the big battle against Caster in Fate Zero. That was a good fight.
被害は川を干上がらせただけでしたが、運悪く停泊していた船を巻き込んでしまったのです。
はあ？巻き込んだって、まさかエクスカリバーにか？
Yep.
そうなのですが、幸い乗客はいませんでしたし、被害も大きくなかったんです。私だって反省しているのですから。
For anybody who hasn't seen Fate Zero, basically, so that fight was 3 servants, Saber, Lancer, and Rider, teaming up against Caster, who had essentially transformed into a giant monster. Meanwhile, Gilgamesh and Berserker were in the area doing their own fight. It was really good. It was really cool. I should watch out. I have to take care to only use Excalibur in an open place like this.
シロ、まだ怒っていますか？
いや、別に怒ってない。ただびっくりしただけだ。あとはまあ前回の名残って結構あるんだなって。中央公園のあれのに比べたら川の瓦礫なんて問題じゃないだろう。まあ船の持ち主は災難だったとは思うが。
それはご安心を。船の持ち主には保険が下りたと桐次が言っていましたし、もともと緩衝材にするつもりで船を止めさせたのですから。船体を壁に見立てて宝具の威力を削いだのですね。
なんだ、じゃあ初めから承知で船を壊したってことか。
承知していたわけではありません。あれは桐次が私に黙って用意していたものです。
Yep, typical Kiritsugu behavior.
そうですね。桐次には戦いの流れが読めていたのでしょう。船を用意する前もその後も一言も口にしなかったので気がつきませんでしたが。
Saber looks down at the river yearningly. The water surface reflects the sunset. The wind coming down from the river is a bit strong and flutters Saber's hair. Is it because she looks so beautiful like that?
セイバー、今日は楽しかったか？
I was assaulted by a sudden fear that Saber might just disappear, and I asked something I don't need to ask.
はい。何か言いましたか、シロ？
She is beautiful.
言った。今日は楽しかったか聞いた。
She gasps. Saber opens her eyes in amazement.
そうですね。新鮮でないと言えば嘘になります。
She says so in a voice of hope, as if such a thing will never happen again. I knew what her answer would be. All I can do now is nod and just go home. Everything can return to the way it was, just like that.
そうか。
I nod, looking at Saber.
ならまた行こう。こんなの別に今回限りってわけじゃないんだから。
And I say something I won't be able to take back. Saber freezes. She must have realized what I want to say. She shakes her head, looking directly at me, as if saying there won't be a next time. As if this mistake is only for today.
それはなぜ？
I know Saber's answer, but I ask, not liking the answer I expect.
なぜも何もない。サーバントは戦うために存在するものです。今日のような行為は自らの存在を否定することになる。シローが休憩すべきだと判断したから従いましたが、もうこの先は体を休める必要はないでしょう。残る敵は少ない。シローが命じるなら今すぐにでもランサーを探し出したいほどですわ。
She looks at me with eyes full of fire. Saber is saying she will start fighting right now if I order it. That causes me to get mad about all the things I can't approve of.
なんだよそれ。そんなに戦いたいのか、お前は。
当然でしょう。戦えば戦うほど聖杯に近づくのです。私にとって戦闘は何よりも優先すべきことです。それは素人って分かっているはずですが。
ああ、分かってる。だからおかしいんだ。前から言いたかったんだけどな。矛盾してるぞ、お前。セイバーは戦いが大事だって言う割に自分から戦いたいなんて思ってないだろう。他に手段がないからいやいや戦ってるに過ぎないんじゃないのか。
そんなことはありません。私は戦闘をためらわない。勝利するためならば手段は選ばないと言ったでしょう。
Yeah, she did say that. But that's not a reason to like fighting.
できる範囲でだろ。いいか、セイバー。単純に他のマスターを倒して聖杯を手に入れるって言うんならさ、ライダーみたいに人を襲って力を得ればいい。だけどセイバーはそれが嫌なんだろう。
それは
無関係な人間を巻き込みたくないんじゃない。いざ戦いになれば人は死ぬものだとお前はよく分かっている。そうだからこそお前は戦闘を最小限に抑えたがっていた。戦えば死者は出る。だから早く終わらせたいって。つまりさ、お前は犠牲者が出る戦いってやつがたまらなく怖いんだ。
After opening her eyes as if she's seen a ghost, she grits her teeth and straightens her stare.
違います。私は戦いを怖がってなどいません。
そうだな。確かにお前は初めから怖がってなんていなかったと思う。そんな個人の恐怖なんて王の使命とやらで塗りつぶされていたんだろうから。だけどそれでもお前は戦いを嫌ってる。お前は単に強くて戦いがうまかっただけだ。けどそれはお前が望んだ才能じゃないだろう。はっきり言うぞ。お前は戦いになんて向いていない。本当は剣を取ることさえ嫌だったはずだ。戦うことだけが目的だっていうのはお前自身が お前をごまかすための言い分に過ぎない。
It's so simple. Why didn't you or anybody around you notice it?
シロ、いくらあなたでもそれ以上の侮辱は許しません。
図星だから我慢できないんだろう。認めたら戦えなくなるからな。
She grits her teeth. Saber glares at me in anger. I can't back away. If I believe I'm right, I can't run away.
だからやめろよ。お前だってやめたがってるんだろう。剣なんて自分に向いてないって分かってるんだろう。ならやめてしまえばいい。サーバントなんてやめて、もっと自分に向いたことをしろ。
She needs to regain the happiness she should have had as a human. For that,
バカなことを。私に戦う以外の選択肢などありません。この私は聖杯を手に入れるためだけのものです。王の誓いを守るためにこの身を差し出した。それ以外の自分の使い道など私には許されない。
I only exist to obtain the Holy Grail. That annoys me the most. Why does she say ridiculous things like that as if to convince herself? Everyone around her took her word because she kept saying things like that.
バカ、そんなことあるか。道なんていくらでもある。お前はここにいるんだ。昔のお前とは違う。ならこれからは自分のために生きなきゃダメだ。間違っても聖杯を。
The final wish she's permitted.
どうでもいい他人のためなんかには使うな。ここにいるならセイバーはここで幸せにならなきゃダメだ。
I hear the wind. Saber doesn't answer. She doesn't even nod. She just looks back at me.
その言葉にはうなずけない。私はあなたに従うと契約した。だが心まで預けたわけではありません、マスター。
She replies with a strong voice.
王の誓いは破れない。私には王として果たさなければならない責務がある。アーサー王の目的は聖杯の入手です。それが叶おうとも私はアルトリアに戻ることはないでしょう。私の望みは初めから一つだけ。剣を手にした時からこの誓いは永遠に変わらないのですから。
なんでだよ。セイバーがやらなくちゃいけないことはそんなんじゃないだろう。そんな最後まで報われないなんて間違ってる。お前には聖杯なんて必要ない。それに
And Saber's wish won't come true. It's impossible to erase everything that's happened.
セイバー、起きてしまったことをやり直すなんてできないんだ。いや、それはやってはいけないことだと思う。そんなことぐらいお前だって気づいてるんじゃないのか。
いいえ、決してそんなことは。
なら言ってやる。たとえどんなにひどい結末だろうと、起きてしまったことを変えるなんてできない。できなかったからやり直しがしたいなんて、そんなのは子供のわがままと同じじゃないか。
Our words end there. Saber doesn't say anything, and I don't have anything to say. The wind has stopped as well. No, the wind hasn't stopped. It's only died down for a second. Another sound of wind. Just as I feel the wind on my cheek.
シローなら分かってくれると思っていた。
The wind has changed into a headwind.
今日一日無意に過ごし、言いたかったことはそれだけですか。
A cold voice. It contains only rejection.
思い上がらないでほしい。あなた程度の人間に私の何がわかるというのです。あなたに私に踏み入る権利などない。戦うなですか。私に守られなければならない未熟なマスターが何を。 そのような世まい事を吐くのは一人で戦えるようになってからにしてください。まあそんなことは永遠にありえないでしょうが。
違う。世まい事って俺は。
ですから世まい事でしょう。自分のことを考えろですって。それは素人で同じではありませんか。あなたは自分の命が感情に入っていない。あなたは私が間違っていると言いますが、あなたの方こそ何かを間違えている。自身より他人を優先するなど死者の考えだ。自身の命の重みも知らない大バカ者がよくもそんなことを言えたものです。
Go off.
セイバー、お前。
勘に触りましたか。ならいっそのこと契約を解除しても構いません。どうせあなたは聖杯を必要としていない。あとは私一人でマスターを破り聖杯を手に入れるだけですから。そんなに戦うのが嫌ならばあなたは遠くで隠れていればいいでしょう。
セイバー、お前それ本気で言ってるのか。
I ask with a trembling voice. My teeth are chattering because I'm suppressing my emotion.
当然です。私の目的は聖杯だけ。それ以外のことなど余計だ。シロ、それはあなたも例外ではありません。
I stop breathing. I bear my head going white and manage to restart my stopped heart.
このわからずや。いい、そんなに戦いたいってんなら勝手にしろ。もう俺は知らないからな。
But I can't stop my emotions. I yell what sounds like an excuse and run away from Saber. I get away from her. But for a moment, I think I see Saber standing there absent-mindedly.
くそ。
I run. I keep running, not knowing what's so vexing or maddening.
それ以外のことなど余計だ。シロ、それはあなたも。
I grit my teeth hard and stop myself from yelling out. Just remembering it makes me white out, and I might run into a pole or something. No, it would be easy if I could do that. If I was just angry at Saber, I could just take it out on something. But that's not the cause of this fury. It's not just Saber that I'm mad at. It's so vexing, and I keep running so hard because I hate how weak I am. Saber was standing there absent-mindedly. The words she said, just as the wind changed directions.
シロなら分かってくれると思っていた。
くそ、そんなのわかるか、バカ。
I spit that out, then regret it so much that I almost fall. What was it about? Her voice like a farewell sounded like she was crying. Come to think of it, maybe those words were the only honest thing she said. Those words murmured with her head hung. A voice of hope, disappointment, and wishes. Then, who was the betrayer, and who was the betrayed? I run into my room and shut the door. I collapse. I don't want to stand up. I just want to lie down and go to sleep. But my body is still burning. My heart feels like it's splitting open and my lungs are desperate for air. I ran full speed from the bridge to here. My body must be exhausted. I haven't run enough emotionally, but my body is telling me to calm down. I slowly calm down. I take a deep breath and let it out. And after I settle my breathing, all that fills my head is the question of why I was so enraged. I don't even have to think about it. I ran as if throwing something off me because I was so powerless. I can't save Saber. That fact is so vexing that I was angry at myself. I can't do anything. I promised to make her laugh. I promised to protect her, but I can't do anything. That makes me furious.
どうしろってんだ。セイバー自身が自分の幸せを求めていない限り、他人がどうこう言っても無駄だってのに。
That's why I tried hard, so she'd be able to find her own happiness. But she told me that was meaningless, and on top of that, she called me a fool.
自身の命の重みも知らない。大バカ者か。
What can I do when she says that? I value my life as well, and I don't want to do anything that might endanger it. That's a lie. But this has nothing to do with Saber. I think it's unfair of her to bring it up right there. No matter how stupid I am, I'm sure Saber's wrong. Sure. But if she denies me like that, I can't do anything.
くそ。もう勝手にしろ。
I turn over and lie on my stomach. The floor is the only view, so I close my eyes to black out my mind. That's it. I don't care about Saber anymore. If the Holy Grail is so important to her, she can go marry it. She is so obstinate that she doesn't understand after I've told her this much. I'll be burned if I associate with her anymore. No, I'll be seriously hurt. I've already been hurt, though. Not just burned. I met her, fought with her many times, and even saw into the depths of her heart to survive. That heat. I remember the light deep within her. Why do I recall such a thing at a time like this? That faraway plain, the memories that girl left behind. If I recall that beauty, it won't matter what Saber says.
何が戦うだけのものだ。それなら半端に弱い部分なんて見せるなって言うんだ。
Anyways, Saber is unfair. I don't know what's so unfair, but I think it's unfair that I don't know what's unfair. I can't hate her even though I'm this mad, and the more I try to ignore her, the more I can't. It's such a contradiction. Her whole existence is unfair. I can't hate her no matter what.
畜生。惚れた方が負けってこういうことか。
But I can't help it. If I can't give up no matter how useless she tells me it is, I have to keep trying until the end. No matter how much Saber hates it or rejects me, if I believe I'm right,
シロなら分かってくれると思っていた。
I remember her face, about to cry. In the future, will she make that kind of a face every time I repeat this?
それでもだ。どんなことになってもうなずくわけにはいかない。
Even if I'm wrong and Saber's right, if she's really important to me, I can never apologize to her. I thought I heard a sound. When did the sun set? The room is dark. The sound of the second hand on the clock is annoying.
ちょっといつまで寝ぼけてるのよ。いい加減起きてもらわないと困るんだけど。だから起きなさいって。もう10時過ぎよ。ご飯を食べさせろってイリアがうるさいんだから起きて相手をしてあげなさい。
An angry voice. That wakes me up completely.
10時過ぎ？
I get up quickly.
そう、正確には22時17分。夕飯の時間にしては論外ね。
Tosaka looks flabbergasted.
すまん、寝てた。すぐに行くから今で待っててくれ。
それはいいけど、シロ、セイバーは？
いや、ここにいないんなら道場か今じゃないのか。
シロ、私はセイバーがいないから聞いてるの。
Tosaka is serious. That tells me what the situation is in an instant.
まさかあいつ帰ってきてないのか。
ちょっとシロ、帰ってきてないってどういうことよ。
Tosuka runs out of the room after me. But I don't have time to explain. I run outside, ignoring Tosuka's words behind me. The town is quiet. A world like yesterday, where all signs of people have vanished. I don't have enough composure to think it strange now. Saber isn't back. Come to think of it, that's only natural. We argued so much. She said she would fight by herself. So, considering her personality, she really would go and fight by herself. Saber could be anywhere. It's possible that I won't find her, and that she's fighting Lancer right now. But still, I came here first. The air by the river is cold. The park is so cold that it feels like frost is packed here. My breath is white, and my cheeks and ears hurt. It's so cold here, so how cold must it be on the bridge where the wind from the river rises? That is where she is standing. Right where I fled from her. Saber is looking out at the river, not doing anything. Is she looking at the long-gone sunset? Her gaze into the distance seems to be watching a red horizon that has already disappeared. That makes me realize. She's strong, yet so weak. Her gallant figure must be proof that she could live without anybody's help. But she is also so weak that my hand might go through her if I reach out. She can't do it alone, but she defends her pride until the end. That's why it was the same for me, watching stars that cannot be reached. She stares at the distant set sun as if she knows nothing else. I can't leave her alone. If I lost, it was a complete loss for me. It made me swear to myself that I would never let her make such a face. I walk on the bridge. I'm making sounds, but Saber doesn't notice. I walk towards her in silence and stand next to her.
Saber, 体冷えるぞ.
She jumps. She must finally have noticed me.
シロ、
Saber turns around as if to question me.
何してんだよ、こんな時間まで。いつまでも帰ってこないから、遠坂が心配してたぞ。
そうですか。それは悪いことをした。
別にいいけどな。けど、なんだってこんなところにいたんだ、お前は。
はい。ここにいたのは、まだ行き先が決まっていなかったからです。シローは勝手にしろと言ったでしょう。ですから勝手にしようと思ったのです。けれど何をするべきか、何をしたいのか、どこに行きたいのか思い浮かばず、ずっとどこに行くべきかを考えていました。
She speaks like a lost child. She must feel guilty, as Saber keeps averting her gaze. We did have that big fight. It's only natural for her to think I'm still mad.
申し訳ありません。リンには世話になったと伝えてください。ランサーを倒し、聖杯を手に入れたのなら、シローの元に戻ります。ですから、それまで。
Is she saying she'll wander around without a place to return to?
何言ってるんだ。お前が帰るところは俺んちだろ。飯だって布団だってちゃんとセイバーの分を用意してんだから。
ですが、シローはもう私のことなど知らないと。
そうだよ。セイバーが何考えてるか俺にはわからない。
So saying, I take Saber's hand.
シロー。
うちに帰るぞ。いくらサーバントだからってこんなに冷えたら風邪をひく。早く戻ってあったかいものでも食べよ
う。ですが私は。
それと 言っとくけど、俺、文句があるなら今のうちに言っとけよ。
I say so rudely, looking away from Saber. She looks at me, astonished. She looks like she wants to apologize, but I ignore her. That must have worked on her. Saber doesn't say anything and follows while holding my hand. We come down from the bridge and into the park. It's 11 o'clock. There's nobody in the park, but it's overly decorated with things like the fountain and streetlights. We keep walking. Saber is walking slowly. She was standing on that bridge for more than 5 hours. She must be freezing and tired as well. She falls forward sometimes as I pull her by the hand.
Saber, もう少しゆっくり歩こうか。なんか調子が良くなさそうだし。
I turn around to check on her.
いえ、体はとても元気です。ただリンの言葉に踊らされるわけではありませんが、こうして手をつないでいると本当に合いびきのようだなと。
So, hearing that, I feel my face burn up in an instant.
そうだな。手離そうか。セイバーが迷惑だったらの話だけど。
いいえ、私もこうしている方がいいです。シローの手は温かくて安心します。
Our conversation ends right there. I walk on to hide my embarrassment. Saber silently accompanies me. How much further is it to the mansion? I feel embarrassed by the warmth in my hand as I leave the park. Many things happened today. But if it ends with this warmth, I can change religion and start to pray with that priest. But the instant I think so...
どこに行く?
Oh dear, it appears that something is happening.
勝手に人のものを持っていくな、小僧。
We meet someone we never should have met. My happy mind freezes in an instant. Goosebumps form all over my body, and my throat won't move as if it's forgotten how to breathe.
シロ。
It must be the same for Saber behind me. Her hand holds me tightly. Just as I feel an unavoidable death, Saber too feels an inconcealable desperation.
待たせたな、セイバー。約束通り、こうして迎えに来てやったぞ。
じゃあ。
The Golden Servant. I love this outfit. I wish he wore this outfit in other routes. He doesn't. He wears a different outfit in the other 2 routes. It's unfortunate. The unknown heroic spirit who swept away the bone creatures and even cast her herself without any difficulty. That monster is in front of us. He's so close to us. At a distance with which we could start fighting if we wanted to face a death greater than Berserker.
どうした、セイバー。俺がわざわざ出向いてやったのだ。いつまでも黙っているのは無礼であろう。それとも、俺のものになる前に少しばかり遊ぶつもりか？騎士王よ。
Archer stifles his laughter happily. His eyes aren't looking at me. He's only watching Saber. With his rude red eyes, he's looking at her as if evaluating a work of art. Saber's presence changes. She must have prepared herself. Unlike me, unable to even move a finger, she's already glaring at that enemy servant.
シロ、何としても衝撃だけは防ぎます。その隙にあなただけは離脱してください。それがどれほど困難かは分かっていますが、あのサーバント相手ではそれが精一杯なのです。
Her back asks me to forgive her. Even Saber can only manage to block his first attack. The chance of success of retreating from a guy like this is low. Saber is asking for my forgiveness for that low chance. Probably. She knows she has no way to defeat that servant. She can't do that. This is different from when we fought Berserker. For some reason, I know that making Saber fight this servant would be bad. No, I may know the reason. I felt it when I saw his noble phantasms last night. Saber will not be able to beat this man no matter what. It's not about skills as a swordsman. Before that, the prerequisites are wrong. As long as they are heroic spirits, no heroic spirit will be able to beat him.
違う。逃げるのはお前の方だ、セイバー。
シロ。
I cover Saber and face Archer.
ほう、そうか。マスターがいたのだったな。あまりのみすぼらしさゆえ、犬か何かだと思ったぞ。
He says so happily. The man raises his hand and slowly brings his fingers together. I feel sick. I'll be killed if I don't retreat now. There's no reason or logic behind it. I just feel instinctively that I'll be killed if I stay in front of him, and...
行け、セイバー。ここからなら境界が近い。あいつなら、あれが相手でもお前をかくまってくれるはずだ。
I push Saber away and run as if shaking off the premonition of death attacking me. There's only one thing to do. I'll run up to him, project Saber's sword like when I fought Berserker, and... my body flies. What happened? The instant that man clicked his fingers, something appeared right beside me. I can tell it was a big hammer, and that I was smashed away, flying across the ground like trash. I can't move. I feel like all the bones in my body are broken. I can't feel my limbs, my pain is numbed, and I can't even tell if I'm alive or not.
殺しはせん。今ここで貴様を潰せば、セイバーも消えてしまうからな。不本意ではあるが、聖杯を呼ぶまでは生かしておいてやろう。
The man laughs. I move my hands to try to get up, but my body won't move at all. My blood isn't flowing. It feels like the energy to move my body has stopped reaching my limbs.
だが思い上がるなよ雑種。貴様なぞいなくともサーバントを存命させる方法はある。単に今の状態が最も手がかからぬだけだ。それ以上さえずるのなら殺すぞ。
That kills my mind. He will kill me. If I move any more, he will do so without hesitation. How could anyone move after being told that?
シロ。
Saber tries to run to me.
どこに行く？邪魔者はいなくなったのだ。お前が向かうべきはそのようなクズではなかろう。
But the man won't allow that. He stands before me and waits for Saber to come to him. Saber stops and glares at the man. There's about 10 meters between them. It's a distance Saber would be able to close instantly, but...
その様子ではまだ俺に下る気はないようだな。理解に苦しむ。お前ほどの英霊ならば、俺に選ばれることがどれほどの価値かわかろうに。
よまいごと。英霊になろうと私は王だ。貴様の軍門になど下らぬ。
そうか？いかに王であろうと、お前は女だ。主の前に頭を垂れ、仕え尽くすが女の幸せであろう。 だというのに何を拒む。まさか物もわからぬ小娘でもあるまいし、俺の女になるのは恐ろしいか。
God, early Gilgamesh was so annoying. I'm bonking him on the head.
貴様
He gets better, I promise. Not within Fate Stay Night, but he does eventually get better.
そう憤るな。俺は奪うだけではない。等しく喜びも与えよう。俺のものになるというのならば、文字通りこの世のすべてを与えてやる。
And also, that is representative of the Epic of Gilgamesh. If you've never read it, he's horrible in the beginning. That's like the entire plot, is he sucks. His people hate him. They pray to the gods to do something about it, and the gods make Enkidu, and Enkidu hears what a piece of garbage he is and is like, yo, I'm gonna fight this dude, and then they fight, and then they become besties. And then Enkidu dies. And and Gilgamesh, like, goes through the stages of grief and confronts his own mortality and comes out of it much kinder and wiser. And the people love him now.
誇るがいい。お前にはそれだけの価値があると認めたのだ。
The man moves. He opens his arms as if to accept Saber.
そう。守護者になどなることもなく、死にゆく運命に戻ることもない。
Sorry, I'm a massive Gilgamesh fan.
もう一度だけ言うぞ、セイバー。このまま俺のものになれ。この世界で共に二度目の生を謳歌しようではないか。
断る。そのようなことに興味はないし、何より貴様と共に生きるなどまかり間違ってもありえません。
Get him. She does not nod or retreat. Saber looks at Archer head on. He stops. I don't know what's so funny, but the man starts laughing.
いいぞ。それでこそ俺の見込んだ女よ。
I wanted to say something about this expression being cute, but when it happens, when he says this line, I'm going to attack him. I wish I had like a Gilgamesh Nui or something, like a plushie, so I could throw it at the wall in moments like this.
はあ、この世に一つ程度は俺に従わぬ者がいなければな。よーし、では力ずくだ。聖杯を手に入れた後、その身に中身をぶちまけてやろ
う。Attack, kill, maim.
喜べよ、セイバー。そうなればマスターなど不要となる。万能の器である聖杯、その力すべてを飲み干すのだからな。サーバントなどと人間の使い魔に甘んじることもなくなるだろう。
The man says so with satisfaction. To that, Saber replies.
アーチャー、貴様の目的は何だ?
She must have realized that fighting is the only way. Saber asks for her enemy's reasons at the end.
目的か? さあ、何だったか。あいにくこの世の財はすべて手に入れた身でな。望むものだととうにない。
Can't spell bestie attack.
聖杯を求めてはいないというのか。
聖杯? ああ、不老不死か。そんなものは蛇にくれてやった。
This is a reference to the Epic of Gilgamesh. As part of his journey of confronting his mortality, or rather, it's technically a search for immortality, but he doesn't get it in the end. He finds an herb that's supposed to give him immortality, But since he's been on this long journey, he's like, okay, I got this thing. I'm gonna, like, chill now. I'm gonna, like, take a bath and take a nap. And so while he's chilling, a snake comes and takes it. A snake comes and takes the herb and eats it, and yeah.
不老不死を蛇に譲った。
Saber's presence freezes. What was that conversation? Saber shakes her head and tries to deny the word.
だがこの世界は面白いぞ。
I think that fact makes the fact that he wears snakeskin pants in Fate Zero really funny. Like he saw them in a store and was just like, revenge.
根本は変わらぬが、装飾もここまで来れば別物だ。これならば、再びこの世で君臨するのも悪くない。そうだな。俺の目的といえばそんなところか。それを効率よく進めるというのであらば、聖杯の力も悪くはないな。
支配欲か。見下げ果てたな、アーチャー。そんなことのために聖杯を欲するとは。
Gilganui is banned from immortality.
欲するのではない。世の財はすべて我のもの。自分のものを他人に使われるのが我慢ならんだけよ。お前とて、その政権を人に使われては腹立たしいだろう。騎士王よ。
Put him on the top shelf. It's like the you're grounded. Get on top of the fridge now. This house is a fucking nightmare. Saber's body grows misty. After a brief flash, Saber is wearing her silver armor.
Ho?
The man does not even move. In the next instant, Saber dashes forward. She runs up to the man instantly and slashes her invisible sword with deadly speed. Repelled, Saber jumps backward. If Saber's armor is materialized from her magical energy, his armor must be the same as well. I hate his stupid fucking pauldrons. Why are his pauldrons so huge? His stupid gold armor. God. I mean, I love it, but God, I hate it. Why is he like this? In the short battle, the enemy has armed himself. Saber looks calmly at Archer, holding her sword ready. Even with her stare, the man does not stop smiling.
よいぞ。歯向かうことを許す、セイバー。
Boy, failure coded. Real. The enemy happily announces the beginning of the battle. The white light runs through the darkness. Saber, running up to the Golden Knight without hesitation, slashes her sword down, surrounded by lightning. One blow, 2, 3, 4. Each time Saber's sword finds the enemy, blinding light is released. Combinations like a strobe. It's just like when I first saw Saber when she fought Lancer. Saber drives magical energy into her sword and strikes with it like lightning. The sword and armor clash. The man hasn't even drawn his weapon yet. With Saber's sword in front of him, he is just protecting his head with his hands. That man does not have the skill to block Saber's sword. Saber is much better than this man at sword techniques. And on top of that, Saber's sword is invisible. Even if the man had a weapon, I don't think he would be able to block that invisible sword. The invisible sword keeps hitting the man's armor. The sword smashes against the armor, shaves it, letting off sparks. All the man can do is protect his head with his hands. This isn't even a match. This is just one-sided elimination. But still, the golden armor retains its shape. If the armor is free of damage even after taking Saber's attacks so many times, could it be that his noble phantasm is his golden armor?
さすがにこれ以上はまずいか。相変わらず底なしの魔力よな。俺の鎧がきしみを上げるなど、そうあり得ることではないのだが。
The enemy who is merely defending raises his arm. Not towards Saber. I don't know why, but the man raises his hand to the night sky, and...
戯れは終わりだ。その身、ここで俺に捧げるがいい。
Is it an illusion? In his hand. A short sword like a key is in his hand. Saber attacks with all her power, but the enemy repels it with his dark red sword.
今のは復讐の術を含んだ宝具か。
Saber distances herself and glares at the sword in her enemy's hand. The fact that the enemy has revealed his weapon is a threat. But at the same time, it means that the enemy's attacks are revealed. It doesn't matter if his noble phantasm is a sword or armor. As long as you can see it, you're able to deal with it. Saber readies herself. As the man said, his armor is at its limit. If Saber relaunches her fierce barrage of attacks, she should be able to slash him through his armor. Even if he has brought out his noble phantasm, it won't make a difference to the fact that the next blow will decide the match.
最後だ。前回つけられなかった決着をつけよう、アーチャー。
The sword in her hand is still invisible. Readying the holy sword sealed in wind, Saber stares at her enemy. It seems Saber knows what that noble phantasm is. That's why she intentionally distanced herself. And since she knows how to deal with it, she's confronting the enemy straight on. If their noble phantasms are swords, and if the sword's abilities are equal, the deciding factor will be their own sword techniques. By that theory, Saber has to win.
よかろう。では来るがいい、セイバー。その剣に免じ、俺のすべてを見せてやる。
The man laughs.
ならば。
Saber charges in without hesitation. Saber's sword will slash his armor for sure. The instant I think that.
ゲート・オブ・バビロン。
An invisible door opens behind the man. Saber's body stops. The weapons the enemy takes are different from the previous dark red sword. The first is an invisible sword like Saber's. As soon as Saber defends against it, the man is holding yet another sword. This sword is of ice. She twists her body to avoid it, but the space the sword goes through freezes. Saber retreats, covered in ice. As the ice starts to break, the enemy holds a sickle-like weapon. She instantly tries to block the weapon approaching her neck with her gauntlet. But it's useless. The sickle goes through her arm like the gauntlet isn't there and takes away her magical energy. As if cutting away her bone and not her flesh or blood. Saber totters, but manages to stay standing. It is a different kind of retreat now. Not to distance herself and prepare for the next attack. It's a desperate retreat, just to get away from the enemy.
そんなバカな。
Saber glares at the enemy, drawing magical energy into her arm. Many handles are floating around the man, That's what slaughtered Castor. And those are the noble phantasms of the Golden Knight who cornered Saber. It's a scene that makes even me want to doubt my own eyes. Those handles floating behind him are surely those of noble phantasms. Not just 10 or 20. No, even though I can't see them, I can feel that they are infinite. From all times and places. As if to say, that servant has all the divine mysteries from every legend. I hope you guys understand now why I call that one attack that the Scaramouche boss fight has the Gate of Babylon.
あーちゃん、あなたは何者だ?
With all the portals behind him and the beam spam coming out of it? Yeah. Hoyo make a lot of references to Fate, so I feel like that may be an intentional reference. Same as when Hersham the Void does it also. Saber's voice is trembling. A servant will not answer when asked their true identity. But the enemy's noble phantasm is so strange that Saber has to ask.
答えなさい、アーチャー。英霊が持つ宝具は一つだけのはず。いえ、中には複数の宝具を持っている者もいますが、だとしても二つが限度だ。そのように際限なく宝具を持つ英霊など存在するはずがない。
存在するはずがない？それは早計だな、セイバー。英霊は生前持ち得た武器を宝具とする。ならば単純な話ではないか。この宝具はすべて俺が生前に集めたものということではないか。
私を侮っているのか、アーチャー。それこそ絶対にありえない。あなたが何者であろうと、他の英霊たちのシンボルたる宝具を揃えられるはずがない。そのような英霊はこの世界に存在しない。
Saber is right. All the noble phantasms he has are real. There are demonic swords from Northern Europe and demonic swords from South America. No hero made his name in so many different places. And first of all, only Lancer has Gaebolg. Not true. Heroic spirits' noble phantasms are the weapons they had when they were alive. By that rule, as soon as he has Gaebolg, he has to be Cuchulainn. But he isn't Cuchulainn. So that lance cannot be Gaebolg. But the thing is, that is definitely the real Gaebolg. This could all be explained if it was a fake, but as long as it's real, this contradiction is... No, hold on. Original. The model of weapon? It is possible. Myths and legends do not start from nothing. All myths have common points because a single foundation became their model. Because legends that become objects of faith are only those that originate in that land. I think demonic swords and holy swords start having special abilities around that time. So, before that, what if the noble phantasms in myths and legends had a form before they were given names?
おお、お前のマスターも捨てたものではないな。どうやら俺の正体に心当たりがあるらしい。
Saber looks towards me. So far away. I can't even help her if she's so far away. My body has only recovered to the point where I can barely move my fingers.
逃げろ、セイバー。そいつの宝具は
本物だというのだろう。そう、単純な話だ、セイバー。最も古い時代、まだ世界が一つだった頃の話をしよう。その国は栄え、王はあらゆる財宝を収集した。集められぬものなどなく、足りぬものなどなかった。
Oh my god. Whatever my dad is watching downstairs is loud. Hold on.
王は完璧な宝物庫を持ち、その中にある有象無象の武器は使われることなく王と共に眠りについた。要はそれだけの話だ。王の死後、宝物庫の中身は世界に散らばり、名剣であるがゆえに重宝され活躍し、いずれ宝具として扱われた。わかるか騎士王よ。お前たちの扱う宝具とやらは、もともとはその王の持ち物に過ぎないのだと。
It's like inheritance. If you go back far enough, a model must exist. So it is only natural for every legend, myth, folklore, and noble phantasm to have an original model. And, in the distant past, if it was possible to collect all of their models, then one could possess all of the noble phantasms. Only one hero could correspond to that. One with origins in a legend far older than that of King Arthur or Heracles. One said to rule over ancient Mesopotamia. The half-god, half-human king who collected treasures as he wished and sought immortality at the end. His name was...
ギルガメッシュ。人類最古の英雄王。
She sounds as if she is holding back fear. The Golden Knight, Gilgamesh, accepts the shock with satisfaction.
いかにも。この身は貴様らでは叶うべくもない最強の英霊だ。
And the Golden Knight moves forward. There's nothing else to talk about. All that remains is for him to use his many noble phantasms to defeat his enemy.
ほう。我の名を知った上でまだ抗うか。今度こそ勝ち目がないと悟ったはずだが。
やってみなければわかりません。いかに英雄王といえど、超えられぬものがあるはずだ。
Saber's surroundings waver. The wind starts to twirl and becomes a raging gale to protect her. At the same time, the golden sword appears.
ダメだ、セイバー。
It can't be. Saber's going to use Excalibur? Gilgamesh stops. He too must know the Holy Sword's power as his composure vanishes. Saber keeps staring at Gilgamesh and looks in my direction for an instant. Is she telling me to run? Gilgamesh has his back to the river, and Saber is over here. It must have been when she attacked him earlier. Before I realized it, Saber is confronting Gilgamesh to protect me.
ダメだ、こんなところで。
I pour strength into my limbs. Even if I try to move my numb body, all I can move is one of my arms. But I still collect all the magical energy in my body to raise my body with that arm. Or with that one arm. My senses were gone, but every bone in my body starts to scream once I start moving. The pain is warning. The pain is telling me I will break if I move any further. I ignore it and raise my body up. I bear my pain. I don't have time to deal with it. I have to get up quickly and protect Saber. Because I have a bad feeling about this. A premonition I felt when I faced that enemy. She will never be able to beat him. The instinctive feeling that I should never let Saber fight him won't go away.
音に聞こえし聖剣か。いいだろう。
The twirling wind is now a raging storm. Even with the holy sword shining in front of him, the Golden Knight does not back away. Moreover,
では、こちらもふさわしいものを出さなければな。
he pulls an incongruous sword from the gate behind him. That's the cause of my bad feeling. That sword does not appear in any legend. I could identify every one of the noble phantasms that were floating behind him, but even I cannot tell what that sword is.
俺は全ての宝具の原型を持つ。だがそれらは全て無名であり、俺しか持ち得ぬ武具というわけではない。
A cylindrical sword. The sword is made of 3 parts, and each part is turning slowly in different directions. It looks like a rock drill to pierce through a hard surface.
だがこれは違う。正真正銘、この英雄王しか持ち得ぬ剣だ。名などないのでな。俺はエアとだけ呼んでいるが。
純粋に宝具の力比べをすると。
The light concentrates. There's only about 10 meters between them. Within that distance, Gilgamesh shouldn't even be able to dodge her attack.
そうだ。なーに、遠慮することはないぞ。最強と呼ばれるその剣。一度味わってみたくもあったからな。
His laughter echoes through the park. She must consider that provocation.
いいだろう。ならば我が剣、見事受け切ってみるがいい。
Saber's sword moves. Her lips move to say its true name. There's nowhere to run now. The noble phantasm released with its true name will smash all of its power onto Gilgamesh.
出番だ。起きるがいい、エア。
The cylindrical sword, Ea, roars. In response to Gilgamesh's words, the 3 blades turn with a whirring sound. If Saber's Excalibur brings on a whirlwind by releasing the wind, Gilgamesh's Ea creates a storm by swallowing the surrounding winds. Saber is more experienced with anti-castle noble phantasms. It is faster than Ea's roar. Saber pours magical energy into the sword up to its limit in a matter of seconds and executes it with the greatest power. There's no hesitation. Saber releases the holy sword that can even split a river in 2. Just before that, a light of the same magnitude takes on Excalibur's light. A huge impact. The raging wind knocks over trees, and the crashing lights become an exploding sun, burning my eyes. My body is almost blown away by the wind. I manage to dig myself into the ground with one hand and endure the waves of light and heat. How long will the conflict last? The battle of the 2 rumblings that make me fear the earth is going to split into 2. Suddenly ended with her figure surrounded by a white light. Now I want everybody to remember that the Holy Grail War is supposed to be a secret. A crash. I hear something falling right beside me. What it is, I can tell even with my blinded eyes. I thought she might be dead. That's how torn up Saber is. In the distance, the Golden Knight is laughing crazily, unscathed.
人類最強の聖剣とやらもその程度か。人間の幻想など 所詮子供魂よな。
His laugh is high-pitched, and it seems like it will carry over the burning air into the heavens. Is it that much fun? He doesn't even look at Saber as he laughs, only for his own sake.
Saber.
Status screen updated. Let's check it out. Gilgamesh. Details. A half-god, half-human king that ruled the Sumerian city-state of Uruk in the years before Christ. Not merely a legend, he is said to have actually existed. He was the king of heroes, whose tale is recorded in mankind's oldest epic poem, the Epic of Gilgamesh. So divine as to be 2/3 god and 1/3 human, don't ask how that works. No others in the world could match him. He was an ultimate, transcendent being that possessed all things in this world. So basically, his mother was a minor goddess, and his father was a mortal man who ascended to godhood, if I remember correctly. He was originally a tyrant who did not care about his people, but his behavior slowly changed after he gained a friend called Enkidu. Enkidu was created by the goddess Aruru in response to the prayers of the people who suffered under Gilgamesh's oppression. Enkidu and Gilgamesh met as was fated, and they strongly affected each other. At first, Gilgamesh feared Enkidu as his enemy, but the two came to understand each other soon after, recognized each other as equals, and worked together to rule the country. With Enkidu, Gilgamesh defeated Humbaba, guardian of the forest, beast of the gods, and became the greatest and richest king on earth. After this, Gilgamesh was so powerful that even the gods could not ignore his existence. One goddess fell in love with this Gilgamesh. Ishtar, the goddess of fertility, proposed marriage to Gilgamesh, the perfect king, but he rejected her immediately. This was because he knew her to be a witch, unfaithful, cruel, and the corrupter of all men. Ishtar became furious, feeling that Gilgamesh had insulted her. To get revenge, she went to her father, the god Anu, and persuaded him to unleash the Bull of Heaven. Because of this unstoppable beast of the gods, 7 years of starvation and destruction hit the earth. Gilgamesh and Enkidu cooperated and faced the Bull of Heaven and successfully defeated it. The goddess's reputation was once again crushed. Ishtar's fury, of course, did not abate, and she asked the gods of death to give death to one of the men, as it was a sin for a human to kill the beast of the gods. Ishtar's wish was granted, and since he was not created by the gods, or since they were not created by the gods, rather, must remind everybody that this is a very old translation. Now, we actually have Enkidu as a character in Fate, and they use they-them pronouns, canonically. And since they were created by the gods, Enkidu could not resist the command and slowly weakened to death. This began Gilgamesh's downfall. Gilgamesh was shocked by the fact that death could even come to a friend of power equal to his. He was tormented by the fear of this death, and he finally traveled to the netherworld in search of immortality. At the end of a long journey and many hardships, Gilgamesh obtained the miraculous elixir of immortality. But on his way back, the elixir was stolen by a snake while he was bathing, and Gilgamesh died of grief. It is said that the snake begins its life again in a new body after shedding its skin, because it stole Gilgamesh's medicine and drank it. Skills... Divinity, B, A+. He has the capacity for greatness, but since Gilgamesh himself dislikes the gods, the rank is reduced. Noble Phantasm. Gate of Babylon, King's Treasure. A sword key that leads to the Golden Capital. It connects space and allows the user to freely take any tool from the treasure room. Needless to say, this Noble Phantasm will become stronger the more wealth a person has. Rank E through A++. Type Anti-Personnel Noble Phantasm, range blank. Enuma Elish, Star of Creation that split heaven and earth. Cutting of space by the Sword of Separation, Ea. A layer of wind, compressed and accelerated, becomes a fake layer of time and space that smashes all who oppose it. Its attack power is so strong that in elimination rank AC, or a counterattack with an equivalent damage level is needed to defend against this noble phantasm. Damage is strength times 20. Although... MGI. What would MGI be? Hold on. Magic? Maybe added to strength at random. I don't know what MGI stands for. Its maximum damage is 4,000, but with the support of the noble phantasms in his treasury, the damage increases even further. It has equal or superior output to Saber's Excalibur, and is a sword that cut apart the world. Rank EX, type anti-world, noble phantasm, blah blah blah. Beloved. Alright. There's no reply, but blood gushes out from her mouth as she tries to gasp. My vision turns red. What was I doing? I knew this was going to happen. I knew Saber wouldn't be able to beat Gilgamesh, so why didn't I stop her, or even use my command spell?
しかし味気ない。完全にこちらの圧勝か。相殺することもできぬとは。拍子抜けだぞ、セイバー。ああ、そうか。少しは手加減してやるべきだった。何しろ相手は女子供だったのだ。
Attack. His irritating laugh. The responsibility is mine. I thought she could win. No matter how bad it felt, I thought Saber's Excalibur would be able to beat him. That's why even though I told her to stop, my command spells didn't react. I wasn't serious. If I really wanted to protect Saber, I could have made her run away using my command spell, and there would have been infinite ways for me to fight by myself.
さて、ではいただくとするか。汚れてしまったが。何？いずれ同じ目に遭うのだ。ここで傷つこうと問題はあるまいよ。
The laughter approaches. She must have noticed that as Saber faintly opens her eyes.
Saber, 無事か?
I can see her breathing, but I can't touch her even if I reach out. My body still won't move, and I can't even run to her. So I can only call out to her.
Saber! Saber! Saber!
Saber's mouth opens. She breathes in as if asking for help, and coughs as if even that is painful.
シロ、そこにいるのですか?
She raises a faint voice, telling me she cannot see me.
待ってろ。すぐに。
I can't say I'll help her. I'm on the ground too, and I can only move my arms. I can only call out to her and encourage her. She can't even see me in this ugly state.
ああ、そうか。負けたのですね。
She speaks in a soft voice and looks at me with no light in her eyes.
申し訳ありません。どうか、あなただけでも逃げてください。
She says something absurd while coughing up blood. My vision turns red with anger. I completely depended on Saber unconsciously, and this is the result? I can't even stand up after a sudden attack. I grab my head with the only arm that moves. I want to kill myself, so I put strength into my hand as if to squash my head. A firing hammer goes down. I take the switch to turn myself into a magus and smash it on with a hammer instead of my finger.
二度と使わないようにね。投影はあんたの手に余るから。
Tosuka's words. She says magic beyond one's level will destroy the caster's circuits and nerves. So what? She's more important than that. If I can't protect her, I don't need my body. She's helped me many times. There never has been anyone I cared so much about. So, if I can't protect her, Emiyashiro can just die here. I can hear sounds of metal. Metallic magical energy reinforces all the bones in my body and all the broken parts of my body. I'll give it everything I have. I'll put it in the highest gear in the highest rotation from the start, and ignoring my limits, I'll create as much magical energy as possible. My spine catches fire, and my whole body grows red hot. I bite my tongue to bear the feeling of my brain melting. I bite down on the pink flesh. If I can keep my consciousness by just making a hole in my tongue, there's no problem.
Nani?
The footsteps stop. His laughter stops as well.
シロ、何をしているのです。ダメだ。そんなことをしたら体が。
She must feel it even though she can't see. Saber screams, trying to get back up. That makes my last powers turn on. I stand back up. The body that wouldn't obey me starts to move because of the magical energy poured in past its limits. This is like setting my body on fire to make it run towards water. But I don't care. It's better than watching Saber get hurt. That's right. I finally realize, with a mind that's about to burn away. From the beginning, I swore to hold the sword because I didn't want to see her hurt.
逃げてと言っているのに、どうして。
I obstruct the enemy. Saber is behind me. Now, I cannot even take one step backwards.
ドレス。
I hold down my brain, which is rolling around on fire, and manage my mind. I am imaging only one thing. I'll divide the projection into 8 sections to create the lost sword. I feel something hard in my left hand. I don't even need to look to check. The second manufacture of the sword proved successful without slowing down even once.
私の剣。いえ、それでもダメだ。シロも分かっているはずです。それ、動けるのなら、今は逃げるのが。
逃げない。セイバーを迎えに来たんだ。なのに、一人で帰ることなんてできるもんか。
I ready my sword. I hold the sword, heavier than a shinai, and glare at the enemy.
やめてシロ。この男はそんな。
I shake off Saber's words and step forward. There are 4 meters between us. If I step forward with all my might, I'll be able to attack him. The enemy doesn't move. Gilgamesh watches me for a second, then laughs.
殺すか。
He says so in an emotionless voice. I instantly block the attack swung at me. I sway my body to the side to avoid the attack. But I'm not fast enough. If the first attack was a sudden gust, the next barrage of attacks is a raging wind. Parrying is all I can do. No, I wouldn't even have been able to block the first attack by myself. It is fortunate that I also reproduced its memory when I reproduced the sword. A sword with a long past holds will and experience. This sword must already be familiar with such attacks. I can't judge Gilgamesh's attacks, but this sword is able to. So the sword reacts to his attacks before my hands do. I swing to follow the sword, and as a result, I can block his attacks. But that doesn't last long. My fingers numb every time I swing, and slowly I cannot catch up with the sword.
雑種。見苦しいにも程がある。
He must dislike even the slight resistance. He glares at me in anger and retreats a bit. Thank God. If he had kept attacking me, I would not have lasted more than a few seconds. I take a deep breath and try to control my breathing. And then...
薄汚い偽物め。それほどそれが気に入ったのならば、本物を見せてやろう。
He takes out a sword. That is a familiar sword. The ornamentation on it is different, but its true nature, the idea of its creation and its soul are too close to those of this sword.
まさかこの剣の原型。
そうだ。だが宝具としての精度は比べるまでもないぞ。お前が持つ王を選定する岩に刺さった剣は、北欧に伝わる支配を与える木に刺さった剣が流れたものだが、これはその原型。王を選定するという聖剣の大元だ。
The sword of supremacy in the tree. Graham, the demonic sword of Sigmund, hero of Northern Europe. Its original model?
子は親には勝てん。天輪を続けるごとに劣化する複製は原型にはかなわぬということだ。
Light runs. The sword understands better than anything that this is the same attack that terminated Berserker in one slash. It must be protecting its owner. The sword in my hand goes for the enemy's sword with its utmost power. The name of the noble phantasm is Caliburn, the golden sword of assured victory, but it is destroyed without a trace by the sword called Marduk, the original sin. I hear something sliding on the ground. Sliding. Is the ground of the park slippery because it's level? I slide across the ground and finally come to a stop.
Shiro!
That voice makes me realize I'm still alive.
なんだ、セイバー。割と近くに。
Thinking so, I'm relieved. It felt like I was blown away, but it's fine if Saber's nearby. So all I have to do is get up and I can run to Saber. I look at my arm while I stay on the ground. It's red. My arm is surrounded by a red membrane and there's no blood coming out of it.
動くな。もういい。いいから動かないでくれ。シロ!
I can hear Saber's voice. It seems my body has been injured. That attack. I'm sure I was blown away by Gilgamesh's sword. So the wound must be... Oh, I see. Now I understand why Saber's acting like that. I can only move my right hand. My left hand won't move. First of all, my left shoulder isn't attached to my body. I can't even breathe. Diagonally down from my left shoulder. As my body is cut from the shoulder down, it's separated like Lego pieces that don't fit together. It looks like a ginkgo leaf. I've been cut from my shoulder down to my waist. It's strange that I'm alive, but that miracle should soon run out. I'm barely conscious right now, and my vision narrows by the second. First of all, my insides will fall out if I move. Maybe I'm already dead and my mind is lingering like a ghost.
なんだ、見事に散らばったと思ったが存外にしぶといのだな。なるほど。生き汚さだけが雑種の取り柄というわけか。
He laughs. Honestly, I'm thankful. The more irritating he is, the more my mind stays conscious.
だがそこまでだ。貴様に獅子は似合わん。その女は俺がもらう。
Footsteps. The sound of him walking to obtain Saber for sure this time. Ooh, weapon screen updated. Hold up. Ah, Graham. Demonic sword. Sword of the sun. Graham. The demonic sword of ruin and glory that Sigurd, the greatest hero of Northern Europe, possessed in the Volsunga saga. It is the model of Caliburn in the legend of King Arthur, Excalibur was a chosen sword in a stone. Graham was also a chosen sword in the mighty tree of the Volsunga saga, or of the Volsunga king. The legend of Graham and its possessor Sigurd is a story filled with glory and ruin, as one would expect from a great hero. Der Ring des Nibelungen, composed later in Middle Ages Germany, is the story of a knight equal to the legend of King Arthur, and the sword Graham changes its name and appears in it as Balmung. As the strongest demonic sword equaling the strongest holy sword, it even possesses the special characteristic of Dragon Slayer. Yep. And we are at a decision. This is a decision that could lead to a bad end. If you choose don't stand up, essentially what happens is Shiro dies. And then when you go to the Tiger Dojo, they basically yell at you for being stupid and say, go back and pick the other option. Hello? What made you think this was a good idea? So, we stand up. It's very funny. I put power into my right hand. I grab the ground and raise my half-sliced body. I see Saber's face for an instant. She looks like she's about to cry. I'm proud of myself for falling in love with her. I raise my body with just one arm. My legs won't move. The magical energy that forced my body to move has depleted. The only thing remaining is my beating heart and my organs screaming in pain.
ほう、未練か。だろうな。あれはお前には過ぎた宝だ。その気持ちはわからんでもない。ならばこそ他の男の手に奪われるのは悔しかろう。
That does it. I can't stand his talking anymore.
だから奪うとか奪われるとかセイバーを物みたいに。
I put power into my right arm. Is there metal in it? With a creaking noise, my body reacts to my wishes. I get up on one knee. I put power into my body. As I do so, the things I need to live flow out.
なぜもう無理だとどうしてわからないのです。
Saber's voice is almost insulting. She's a long way away. From a distant place, she is watching me in vexation. I ignore it and keep trying. Saber's voice is just a burden. Not my body nor Gilgamesh, but Saber is my greatest enemy now. Because if she objects with an expression like that, my mind will die. Finally, my knee finally has strength, so all that's left is to stand.
いらない。あなたの助けなどいりません。敗北した以上、私はすでにあなたの剣ではないんです。このまま消えるのがサーバントとして当然の結末ではないですか。
Saber's voice. Damn. If she interrupts me anymore, I'll get mad even at her.
やだ。やめてください、シロ。それ以上はダメだ。本当に死んでしまう。こんなことであなたに死なれたら私は。
How can she say such selfish things without knowing how I feel?
うるさい。いいから少しは黙ってろ。こういう時くらい頼っていいんだよ。お前は。
それは違う、シロ。優先順位を間違えないでほしい。私の身などどうでもいい。そんなものよりあなたは自身の命を第一にするべきだ。
She sounds like she's begging. My mind almost collapses, thinking that I'm making her sound like that. But still.
断れ。俺にはセイバー以上に欲しいものなんてない。
I can't accept her words. Saber looks at me in astonishment. I don't know why she looks like that, but I remember. She told me I was a fool who didn't know the value of his own life. I think she's right. It's too conceited for someone who can't even think about himself to try to help someone else. That's just complacent happiness, and it's an unstable happiness for the other party. The most important person is yourself. That kind of person probably can become happy and share their happiness.
俺は確かに自分の命を感情に入れてない大バカだ。
I was wrong about what's most important for me. Since that day, that seat has been empty. But I'm grateful for that abnormality, because in that empty seat is sitting a person I want to save from the bottom of my heart.
けどな、セイバー。もし俺が自分の命が一番大事だったとしても変わらない。きっとそれ以上にセイバーは綺麗なんだ。お前に変わるものなんて俺の中には一つもない。
That makes me realize I didn't feel sympathy for her. The girl I saw in my dream, she fought alone and died alone. I thought she was unrewarded, but at the same time I was charmed by her. I just thought she was beautiful. She pulled out the sword and ran through her life without looking back. Her life itself was so brilliant.
そうだ。だから。
So, I have to protect her. So that you, all alone, won't be engulfed in darkness in your last moments. That's right. So that in your last moments, on the verge of your death, so that you can be proud of your life, my doubts disappear. My path is so clear.
ごめんな。俺、セイバーが一番好きだ。だから、あんな奴にお前は渡さない。
After I say that, I regret apologizing to her. But I had to say it. I wanted to say it now at this moment because there would be no impurities mixed in my words. I hear her gasp. I wanted to turn around and see, but I won't since I can't really see anymore. I get up. I can still fight if my heart is beating. My magical energy is my life. As long as my heart is beating, I'll keep on recreating her sword.
よく立った。で、その後は何があるのだ?
I feel a burning heat on my right hand. Perhaps because I'm close to death, I remember 10 years ago. It's a terrible illusion. My body feels like it's still in that fire, reaching out for life.
うせろ。お前にセイバーは任せられない。
I raise my right hand and say that.
たわけ、誰が貴様の許しを得るか?
The enemy raises his sword.
しろしろ
I hear Saber's voice from behind me. I ignore it and using my remaining magical energy, I project the sword once more. And I'm stopped by that light. Even though it's not as strong as Excalibur, the light that can burn away everything it touches is coming for me. Feeling the heat on my body, I don't think about my death, but about Saber behind me. She'll be dragged in like this, so I have to at least protect her. I said I'd protect Saber. Yes, I wanted to protect her. She's strong, but at the same time, she could have broken down at any moment. So I have to hold steady. She's like a drawn sword, so I have to help her so she doesn't get hurt. And then, before I realize it, there's something like a sword in my right hand. Whose voice was that? The hesitation is only for an instant. At the same moment, the Golden Knight, the absolute victor, retreats.
しろそれを
Saber takes my hand. The rising light stops. Right beside me is Saber. Right before me is Gilgamesh, opening his eyes and bleeding. I don't know what happened, but I know this is a repeat of the battle against Berserker. Saber used something I made and defeated Gilgamesh's sword. A light pushed back his light and must have injured him, who was unscathed up to now. A frighteningly murderous intent. It feels like he needs to kill everything he sees in order to calm down. But the Golden Knight leaves silently. I don't even have time to be surprised. I don't know why he left, but even my fading mind knows that the battle is over. My knees give way. All tension disappears, and my body falls to the ground.
Shiro!
Saber instantly supports me. With Saber supporting me, I look down at my body. I let out a gasp. My wounds are so bad they cannot be treated. My body, cut from my left shoulder, should have died instantly. I must be barely alive because of that healing power, but it must have its limits. My body is almost split in two. I'm sure nothing will be able to fix my body now. I can't even tell if I'm still breathing or not, and my consciousness is starting to fade. The end is near. But the fortunate thing is about Saber. I have a fatal wound, but it seems Saber is just fatigued. She's unarmed now, and her wounds are completely healed. So even if I retire now, Tosuka should be able to do something. That sound again. A sound as if my bones are creaking is coming from my body. I look down at my wound. There are many swords. What look like the blades of swords are layered on top of each other and crowding together to connect my separated body, making that sound. I feel dizzy. It feels like every bone in my body, every muscle in my body is made out of swords. There's no such thing. It must have been my imagination, as my body is just fine. As proof of that, my separated body is starting to connect and my cuts are healing quickly. It's more like restoration than healing. This is more creepy than strange. It seems I'll be saved, but this is too...
よかった。この分なら死ぬことはなさそうですね、マスター。
I hear Saber's voice by my ear. It's really close by.
いや、それは助かるけど。俺の体、一体。
Trying to finish, I'm assailed by dizziness. Then, my body is enclosed by soft arms.
いいえ、私には分かりました。傷が癒されるのは当然です。
I can't stay conscious. It's because I produce too much magical energy. My tired mind wants to sleep right now. How strong is she? Saber wraps her arms around me and holds me tight.
やっと気づいた。シローは私の鞘だったのですね。
She says so in a deep, seeping voice. The feeling is so comfortable that my remaining consciousness fades away. I'm glad to be saved, and I let my body sleep. But before that, I complained to myself that it would have been more perfect if our positions were reversed. At the end, I see that red hill once more. A red memory. I dive deeper into her memory, and I realize this is the last time. These are the memories of a night which I have seen many times before. After becoming king and becoming the will of the country by killing her own will, her days were filled with neglect even from her trusted knights. Every time she won a battle, Arturia was made to wish for a battle she did not wish for. She continued to hide her sex, surrounded by suspicion. What awaited this isolated girl was a rebellion by one of her relatives. A young knight took over the country while the king was on an expedition. The man's name was Mordred. That knight, who was son of Morgan, the sister of the King of Knights, was actually the son of the King of Knights. To start at the end, Arturia could not have children as a woman, but Mordred certainly inherited the blood of Arturia. Arturia's older sister, Morgan. I am not sure how far she went, but she despised Arturia for becoming king, even though Arturia was much younger than her. Or was younger than her. Mordred was created as her other self. He served the king as a knight with an unknown father, waited for his chance to take over the throne, and finally organized a revolt. This was the battle later known as the Battle of Camlan, the final battle of King Arthur. King Arthur discovered Mordred's betrayal on her expedition and returned to her homeland with her tired troops to invade her own territory. She slashed away knights that used to serve her. She attacked the lands she once protected. The few knights that stayed with her died off, and the only ones standing in the end were her and Mordred. Their personal combat ended with the king's victory, but she did not emerge unscathed. Mordred was bound by a strong curse, so he still swung his sword even after his death and left a fatal wound on the king. That is the end of this battle. The last of her, the one called the King of Knights. It must have been painful. Come to think of it, none of her battles were painless. Every one of her 12 battles was severe, and this just happened to be the greatest wound appropriate for her end. She returned to her territory and destroyed her own army. She punished the knights who used to serve her, and the knights following her all died. And in the end, she had to kill her own son, even if he was son only in name. I cannot tell what went through her mind, but I have to wish. The lone king, who tried to be a king until her last moments. I wish that her last dream might be a normal dream, one that the girl called Arturia might wish for. I open my eyes. I don't know when I got back, but I'm in my room lying on my futon.
ああ、気がついたのですね、シロ。
セイバー、俺はどうして？
あれから今まで眠っていたのです。体の方はほぼ完治していますから、心配には及びません。
そうか。それはいいけど。
What about Saber? She used Excalibur. She may not even have enough magical energy to heal herself.
セイバー、ずっと俺の手当てを。
手当てといっても汗を拭く程度です。私はリンのように人の傷を見ることはできませんから。
バカ、そんなことしなくていいんだ。今は俺よりセイバーの方が辛いだろう。
そのようなことはありません。シローに比べれば私は軽傷です。しかし今のは聞き捨てなりませんね。いくら傷が塞がったと言ってもシローは死んでもおかしくない傷だったのです。今は自分の体を案じてください。
Saying so, Saber reaches for the wash bowl beside her. There's a cold towel in there. After squeezing the water out of it, she wipes my sweating body. I'm really embarrassed.
シロー、傷が痛むのですか？また熱が出てきたようですが。
熱なんか出てない。いや、そうじゃなくて。いいからセイバーも休んでくれ。今は元気かもしれないけど、 エクスカリバーを使ったんだ。セイバーの方こそ休んでなくちゃダメじゃないか。そんなんじゃまた倒れちまうだろう。
まあそれはそうなのですが、今は私の方が元気ですから、マスターの傷が癒えるまで私が守るのは当然でしょう。
それはもっともな話だよな。
Crap. I can't object if she says so with that kind of an expression.
分かったよ。俺もしっかりと休むから、セイバーもちゃんと休んでくれ。セイバーが休んでくれないと俺も落ち着いて眠れない。
それはそうですね。私とて睡眠を取らねばならぬ身ですから。
Saber nods, squeezes the cloth, and puts it on the side of the wash bowl. So, I let Saber take care of me and suppress my embarrassment.
それでは私も先に休ませていただきます。御身くれぐれもお大事に。シロ。
ああ。
おやすみなさい。言いそびれましたが、礼を言います、シロ。あなたが助かって本当によかった。
Saber's smiling in the moonlight. Did it look ephemeral because of the weak moonlight? The sliding door is shut before I can find out. I don't know if I'm happy or lonely now that Saber's gone. I did want her to stay by my side, but that'll be a burden on Saber. And if we stay like that, it'll be just like that night. I shake off the image in my head. Too many things happened today. It was only a day, but it felt like a week. The date with Saber was more troublesome than fun. We ended up having an argument and I left Saber alone. And... no, I have to rest for now. I can think later. There's not only Gilgamesh, but Lancer as well, and his unknown master. We can't win unless we start over in our best conditions. It happened a few hours ago. She said something about me being her sheath. I was badly injured and about to fall asleep, so I couldn't ask her why. I can't fall asleep. Saber's dream, her resolute face in front of death, and her face when she nursed me overlap each other. Good night. The frailness of her smile won't get out of my head. The smile that never showed up on the girl in my dream. She says that it makes her happier when I smile. It's vexing. Why is it vexing instead of saddening? I don't know why I'm annoyed to the point of anger. I smack the futon. I'm about to rage around because of this unknown irritation.
シロ、体の具合が悪いのですか?
I hear her worried voice from the other side of the sliding screen. I was out of breath, so it must have sounded like I tossed around because of pain.
いや、大丈夫。それよりも、まだセイバーは起きてるのか?
はい。ですが、本当にシロの方はよろしいのですか? まだ苦しいのでしたら、そちらに行きますが。
No, it's better if I go over there. No, that's bad. Something I've kept in myself would overflow if I see Saber right now.
セイバー、少しだけ話いいか?
はい。このままでよろしければ。
We start talking through the sliding screen. Maybe it's because I can't see her, but I recall the smile I last saw on her. Saber was smiling happily. My frustration increases instead of calming down. I don't know why my body is heating up, but I need to talk to Saber. I have to say that it's wrong. I don't know what's really right, but I have to tell her that I'm not wrong about this. My tongue and throat tremble. I can't turn back once I say this. I fully acknowledge it, and...
もういい。いいから。お前は自分のために笑わないと。
I'm pushed by an unknown impulse and say this.
シロ、そんな、どうして?
She doesn't even need to ask. I'll keep repeating myself until you realize it.
セイバー、もう十分なんじゃないのか。お前は頑張ったんだろう。一人で戦い抜いたんだろう。ならセイバーが幸せにならないなんて嘘だ。お前は立派に誓いを果たした。ならこのままアルトリアに戻ってもいいはずだ。
何を言うかと思えば、まだそんなことを言うのですか、あなたは。
ああ、ずっと言い続ける。そんなの惚れちまったんだから仕方ないだろう。だからセイバーは、いや、お前はアルトリアに。
I suppress my sudden fury. It's about to burst out. Saber only needs to say one thing before that.
シロ、私を困らせないでほしい。そのようなことを言われても、私は。
Her answer doesn't change. My heart aches at her determination. I cannot talk tonight.
シロは私の過去を知って、私の中に何度も入ってきた。私の答えなどあなたは知っているはずなのに、どうしてそこまで私に構うのです。私がどれほどの罪を重ねてきたのか。
Yeah, I did. She sacrificed many people in the name of the king and killed many enemies. I don't intend to ignore that or pretend it didn't happen. But still, even knowing that, I want the girl named Arturia to become happy.
それがどうした？この感情が何かは知らない。俺はただセイバーをこのままにしておけないだけだ。セイバーは笑ってくれ。俺はもっとずっとセイバーと一緒にいたい。
A childlike unilateral confession. Within the silence, I wait for her answer. What is Saber doing on the other side of the sliding screen? Are my words reaching her?
私の答えは変わりません。王の誓いは破れない。ふさわしくなかったとはいえ、私は王として国を任せられた。その責務を果たせなかったというのに、そんな自由は許されない。
I can't hold myself back any longer because her voice sounds so sad. I don't want to hear the lonely oath to be the king instead of her words as Arturia. I already know that. I didn't become this vexed to hear those screams. I kick my futon. In front of me is the sliding screen separating our rooms.
シロ、
The sound of the sliding screen feels distant. My mind blanks out. Why was I so angry? Why was I so sad? Her eyes shake as if about to cry. Her gorgeous neck and slender shoulders. Her golden hair reflects the moonlight just like when we first met. I'm embracing her when I notice. I embrace her so hard that I could break her, but she doesn't resist. It's different from that night. I didn't feel like this back then. What a ridiculous story. I wanted to become a superhero, but I never fell in love with anyone, nor was I ever unwilling to let go of anyone.
セイバー。
It feels like she'll disappear if I don't keep holding her. I don't know how long I've held her, but I finally figure out that she won't disappear and loosen up.
シロ、突然に何を。これは一体どういうことですか。こんなことをされても、私は。
She moves slightly in my arms. Her lips tremble and try to say something, but I close them with a soft touch. Her body is slightly trembling. I'm staring at Saber, but I'm not seeing anything. In its place, my lips feel Saber's kindness. Our lips part. Saber's hand on my chest pushes us apart a bit.
シロ、今の口づけは。
Does she want to say it's a mistake? She looks up at me with a face about to cry.
間違いなんかじゃない。何度だって言うぞ。セイバーが好きで、このまま話すことなんてできない。それが嫌なら言ってくれ。俺とはマスターとサーバントの関係に過ぎないと断言して否定してくれていい。
卑怯な、そのようなことを口にしろというのですか？
ああ、セイバーがはっきり言わない限りもう我慢しないからな。セイバーが拒まないんなら俺はやりたいようにやるだけだ。
Even if it would make her temporarily forget her determination to be the king. A long silence. I keep holding her and feel her softness. She's still tense, not wanting to be embraced. All we hear are our breaths and the beating of our hearts. How many times did our hearts beat? Saber slightly puts more power into the hand on my chest.
あなたの気持ちには応えられない。あなたがその正しさを変えられないように、私にも変えられないものがある。できるのは、せめて許されるとしたら。
Her pause aches my heart. She bites her lip, trembles, and says this as if to make a confession that this night is unforgivable. But still, her unresisting body and her wavering eyes tell me that only this one night. She wants to stay like this until the night ends.
セイバー、俺は
I raise my hand to embrace her again, but
フォーブを使いましたから。シロから力をもらわないと私は戦えません。
hang on a second. Just making sure. Okay. Her quiet voice stops me. I can't say anything. That reason is her best absolution and her biggest modest wish.
ああ、そうだったな。けどちゃんと動いてるのか、あれ。
はい。今でもシロからの供給は続いています。
You're scared. Yeah, originally there was an H scene here. It has been removed since I've got those scenes off.
ですから回復するためには
But
こうして
be close to each other like this. That's the limit. This is the distance between us, a girl bound by her oath and myself who cannot destroy her oath. Saber moves within my arms. At the same time, the feverish heat in my body returned. My arms panic at her warmth. I'm painfully aware of her softness and slenderness. I'm ashamed for panicking. Saber's cheeks are red as well, and she looks embarrassed.
ですのでシロ、今晩は共にあなたと眠らせてください。ケンとサヤは共にあればその力を取り戻しやすい。それにあの儀式と同じようにより心身を近づければ。
I nod back. Happiness overwhelms my embarrassment. I'm going to be with Saber until morning. We can't touch each other anymore, but we can still be close using our hearts.
よかった。では、シロ、今夜は私が支度をしますので、先に部屋に戻っていただけませんか？
Saber stands. I'm reluctant to let her go, but I can't be like this forever. I head to the sliding screen. I turn back to look at Saber as I close the screen. With her hands at her collar, Saber shyly returns my gaze. It feels like I'm doing something impure, so I quickly close it. For some reason, I sit Japanese style on the futon as I wait. I'm going to be sleeping together with Saber. Just the thought of it causes me to dance inside my head. This is to help Saber, and also to grant her small wish. Saber may be able to smile someday if we pile up such small wishes. But the battle is nearing its end. Will we have enough time?
失礼します。 シロ。
The screen opens. I shake the depressing thought from my mind and welcome Saber. I turn around and see... I quietly swallow my breath. Her white figure shows up in the darkness. With that, my agitation disappears. It's probably because she's too beautiful. My agitated mind comes to its senses and clears up.
おかしいでしょうか、この格好は。
いや、そんなことない。ただ眩しくて困ったんだ、きっと。
I murmur strange things such as how troubling it is for a girl to be too beautiful. Saber wouldn't understand what I mean, but my mind won't move unless I say this.
そちらに行ってもよろしいですか、シロ。
ああ、うん。
I notice for the first time how... I'm not saying that, Shiro, what the heck? As Saber makes her way over, I draw back and spread the futon. I realize that I need another pillow, but it's too late now. Saber and I are sitting by the futon, side by side. There's only one room and one futon, but Saber's with me. I have no dirty thoughts, but my face is burning and I can't even speak and glance at Saber. Yes, Shiro, what the heck was that?
お先にどうぞ、シロ。
いや、セイバーこそ先に。
No, we'll make no progress like this. I slip under the futon, then make a space for Saber. I try to give the pillow to her, but she quietly pushes it back towards me.
これはシロに。私はその腕を枕にさせてください。
She murmurs such a thing. Saber is in my arms and is surprisingly calm. Didn't raise him like that. I'm not hugging her, but rather she has settled in there. Sword and sheath. I recall Saber's words. Saber is about to fall asleep using my arm as her pillow, and she looks like a beautiful sword in its sheath. Her warmth and her faint smell calms me down instead of exciting me. It seemed unthinkable that I was ever worried about falling asleep with Saber. Saber holds out her hand. I take her hand under the futon and clasp it. We quietly fall asleep. But before that,
セイバ
I call out to the girl laying beside me. I want to ask her in the end, to hear her reply to my question.
感じますか、シロ。これなら朝までには魔力の補充ができる。これで明日からあなたのサーバントとして戦います。
ー、セイバ
今はそれだけです、シロ。私の役割はあなたの身を守りきり、聖杯を手にすることだけです。
ー。それは
そうでしょう、シロ。この戦いを終わらせるために戦うと決めたのだから。
That's something I cannot argue against. If I want to do something about our problem, I have to end this war beforehand. First of all, I can't protect Saber unless we defeat the man who's after Saber. But, do we have a way to defeat that King of Heroes? We grow quiet and stare at the darkness. How long were we like that? My tired body wants to take a rest and my eyes start to close. But our clasped hands are warm.
ー、セイバ
はい。考えるのは明日にしましょう、シロ。明日になれば良い案が浮かぶかもしれませんし。それに
I would like to sleep like this for now. She says so while gently clasping my hand.
ー。そうだな。俺もそうしたかった。
ええ。おやすみなさい、シロ。目を覚ましたらまたいつもの私たちに戻りましょう。
I close my eyes with her close to me. My last vision of Saber sees her smiling warmly. I don't care if that was just for this night. Right now, her hand is warm. That is more than enough for me right now as I fall into a comfortable sleep. We approached the end of this battle, without knowing if we would be able to keep our hands connected even after everything is over. And that is the end of day 14. See, everything was fine in the end. So, day 15 is the last day of this route. Because it's the last day, a lot happens, so we might wind up splitting it into 2 streams, or we might not. We'll see. I would like to finish it next week if we can, but yeah. So next week will be the beginning of the end of this route. As for tomorrow we will be watching the, oh god, what's it called? The Genshin concert. Hold on. The Melodies of an Endless Journey. Yes. Oh. Crap. Where's browser? There we go. Tosaka Rid's route soon. Yes! Unlimited Blade Works is my favorite route. So yeah. Tomorrow we'll be watching the Melodies of an Endless Journey concert. Sunday we might be starting the Genshin event. Sunday is Christmas Eve, so I don't know for sure if I will be streaming on Sunday or not. But, yeah. Thank you to everybody who stopped by tonight, and I hope to see you all next time.